In a night meant to celebrate British wit and Hollywood charm, the Graham Norton Show took an unexpected turn that left Meghan Markle fuming behind the scenes. What was intended as harmless late-night banter quickly transformed into a public drubbing of Markle's already fragile public image and the culprits. None other than Hollywood icon Tom Cruise and the ever-graceful Princess Catherine, Kate Middleton, who laughed heartily as Markle's podcast was held up as an example of tone-deaf self-importance. The clip, which has since gone viral, featured Tom Cruise in rare form cheeky and unfiltered as he and Catherine shared the red couch on the BBC talk show. When Graham Norton jokingly referenced Markle's now-defunct podcast Archetypes, Cruise burst into laughter, joking that it had more buzzwords than a Scientology seminar. The audience roared. But it was Catherine's controlled yet visibly amused expression subtly nodding along that drew even more attention. She didn't say a word, but in the world of British royalty, silence often speaks volumes. This public ridicule didn't come out of nowhere. Archetypes, launched under Markle and Prince Harry's $20 million Spotify deal, was initially marketed as a bold feminist initiative to uncover the labels that hold women back. But critics and eventually Spotify executives described it as overly scripted, self-congratulatory, and lacking real insight. One Spotify executive even referred to Markle and Harry as ing grifters after the deal was terminated, a scathing label that has stuck in the public consciousness. What made the Graham Norton mockery sting even more was its mainstream appeal. Unlike tabloids or right-wing media, the BBC and Graham Norton are widely respected, neutral platforms. For Tom Cruise, usually diplomatic, to mock Markle publicly and for Catherine to appear visibly entertained by it indicates just how far Meghan's reputation has soured across various sectors. The ridicule wasn't coming from the fringes anymore. It was right there in the heart of British pop culture, aired to millions. Royal insiders suggest Meghan sees this as a betrayal, particularly on Catherine's part. While tensions between the two duchesses have long been rumored, Meghan had publicly hoped to mend fences in the wake of King Charles's health crisis. Yet, Catherine's on-screen reaction, no matter how subtle, made it clear she wasn't ready to play nice. Instead of solidarity, Meghan got a smirk, one that echoed decades of royal frost. To make matters worse, media outlets around the globe picked up the segment. Memes exploded across social platforms comparing Markle's podcast to a TED Talk hosted by someone who's never listened to a TED Talk. Her image as a misunderstood feminist trailblazer quickly unraveled further, replaced with the more damning narrative of a narcissist out of touch with reality. And Meghan's reaction? Predictably furious. According to sources close to the couple, Meghan was livid watching the clip, feeling humiliated not just by the Hollywood elite but also by the royal establishment she once tried to take on. This latest public incident only exacerbates her growing list of grievances, which includes Netflix questioning the viability of future projects with her and Harry after a string of underwhelming performances. Even worse, her critics now include those in liberal circles who once championed her. Journalists who praised her as a modern disruptor now question her credibility. A former New York Times columnist recently wrote that Meghan Markle is the rare public figure who manages to alienate both royalists and progressives. It's no longer a matter of British press bias or royal protocol. The backlash is now global, fueled by consistent public missteps and a tone-deaf approach to storytelling. Meghan's habit of centering herself in every narrative from racial injustice to feminism has worn thin, particularly when followed by multi-million-dollar deals that yield little public value. What's perhaps most damning is how quickly public figures are distancing themselves from her. Tom Cruise, once photographed with the Sussexes during their brief stint in the UK, made it clear with his laughter that he's no longer on Team Meghan. Catherine, now more popular than ever following her quiet dignity amid health concerns, reinforced her public favor simply by sitting still and letting the world laugh. In the end, Meghan's anger may be justified, but it's also a product of her own making. Her podcast, her interviews, her Netflix specials all were designed to control the narrative. But when you spend millions telling your side of the story and the world still laughs, perhaps it's time to ask whether the problem is the story or the storyteller. As the laughter from Graham Norton's studio continues to echo across the internet, one thing is clear. Meghan Markle may finally be facing the one thing she spent years trying to avoid: irrelevance. Not at the hands of the British tabloids, but thanks to the British people, their princess, and a very amused Hollywood legend. For Meghan, who has long positioned herself as both victim and revolutionary, the irony cuts deep. Her strategy, blending activism with celebrity, relied heavily on a controlled media image and carefully curated sympathy. But when that image is punctured on a mainstream platform, not by royal insiders or right-wing pundits, but by Hollywood royalty and the ever-composed Princess Catherine, the blow is far more lethal. The most devastating part of it all? Meghan's inability to respond without seeming petty or defensive. A public rebuttal would only fan the flames. Silence, however, reads as defeat. The same woman who once declared she was free to finally speak her truth now finds herself trapped in a reality where that truth is being openly mocked, and by people the world actually listens to. As social media continues to loop the now infamous moment, with podcast parody and Meghan vs. Catherine trending globally, Meghan's brand appears increasingly hollow. Her critics aren't just louder, they're winning the cultural narrative. And for a woman who once captivated the world's attention with her royal rebellion, there may be no worse fate than this: becoming the punchline in someone else's show.